Welcome back. We're here again. I'm Billy.
I'm Amanda.
And we are, as always,
moving goalposts.
Or according to her, never, but...
I mean, I can't say I've never not moved, never not, whatever that means, moved goalposts in my life, but I do say I do it less often than my lovely co-host over here.
That is, I do not disagree with that. I will, and luckily, fortunately, we have both teams had a lot of people moving the goalposts this weekend with their performances. Different level of opponent, different things at stake, different type of game, but a lot of people were kind of ready to prey on A&M's downfall going into Death Valley, and a lot of people were actively celebrating Texas's downfall in Starkville. Neither one of those things ended up happening. People. Yeah, and neither one of those happened. And so we sit here today for the second week in a row doing talking about and breaking down two victories, one by the Aggies and one by the Longhorns. So let's have at it. Let's have some fun after we shout out.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot this time, and I drank plenty of La Casa this weekend. Is that the Reposado? That's what I was drinking this weekend.
This is the Reposado, and y'all had a game that required it. I mean, you had to be drunk by the end of that game.
I made what I am referring to as my Bevo burnt orange margarita. I got blood oranges, which are hard to find at the store. You need something that's like pretty orange to make it a darker orange, and just kind of squeeze that in there with a normal margarita recipe. And it was lovely. They were great. They helped get us through that unfortunate way the Longhorns decided to win this game. But I mean, you got to say it made for some great social media content with the whole Brandon Walker aspect of it. I think you can't log on to Twitter without finding some form of Barstool video of him that is just hysterical. Just absolutely. Listen. The fact that he was in the end zone when Emmett Mosley made that catch, and it's like they don't call it a catch, and he looks over and he's like, that could be a catch, right?
That's the worst feeling.
It's like he knew.
Because I've been in that type of situation where you have a really good view of something, and if it's not going your way, you're like, damn. The closest thing I remember was being in kind of that same exact spot of the end zone when A&M had one final play against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It was the year y'all beat them. And A&M went down there, and Bryce Young was hurt, so Milroe was playing. And the Aggies earlier in the year, I think, I want to say it was that the year they had lost to App State early in the season. But they had the ball one play from the Alabama one. They've got Devon Achane in the backfield, Haynes King, who's proven what an elite short yardage running quarterback he is. And they just take the snap and fire it off into the front corner of the end zone right in front of me where Evan Stewart, the true freshman, was. It's incomplete. Before I even got to watch the play, it was over. So I know the feeling, but the whole country didn't document it. That was, hey.
I was there for a similar situation. It was Texas Tech versus Texas in Lubbock. I think it was 2018, 2019, around there somewhere. And it was a little Jordan Humphrey catch in the end zone, but it went my way. So it was one of those big moments where it went my way. And I was like, this could be a Michael Crabtree situation, or this could be, or not a Michael Crabtree. This could be an interception and terrible, or it could go great for us. And it ended up going great for us, thank God, because you know how those night games in Lubbock can end up going.
Well, and it's also how the games in Starkville can end up going, and it's how the games in Death Valley can end up going. And so now,
I mean, Starkville wasn't a night game. I guess it ended up being a night game by the end of it. So I'm thankful it was not a night game, because it could have been even weird. I don't know how you get much weirder than how that game went, though.
That was one of the weirder ones that I've watched lately. There's so much that went into it. I wanted to get. Here's the deal. Because A&M's off this week, let's start with the Longhorns and Bulldogs. It was such a wild game, kept your season alive. Let's start there, move on to A&M LSU, because ton to talk about there, and the Brian Kelly fallout since that game, and then we'll move back into looking ahead, because we've got, A&M will be quick about their look ahead because they're off, and then we'll do Texas with another big one this weekend against Vandy. So part of this little top 10 run you guys are about to be on, which we'll also talk about.
About to be, what do we call it? What's the word I'm looking for? A gauntlet?
Gauntlet, or it could be called the SEC grind. I guess you could call it the SEC gamut. Whatever we want to call it, I've used it before.
Whatever vocabulary word that I'm sure you learned in your, I just noticed in your bio that you were a spelling bee champion in 5th grade. So
yeah, and
this is why you have all these big words for gauntlet.
Let me say something about that. I did win the spelling bee, and I wish I knew which word knocked me out of the Houston area one, but it was a time a long time ago when Stu Wade, who you've worked with some with these graphics, was like, it was when you had to apply to get verified. And as you know, because you like to make fun of me about it, these fake accounts that exist of me, these parodies.
I mean, I used to be verified before you had to apply to get verified. Somebody asked me why aren't you verified? Are you real? And I'm like, no, because I don't want to pay Elon Musk to get a verification that I used to have.
I don't care who gets it because it's so cheap, but I'm also and it's for part of me for work feels like I should do it just for the terms of getting more seen out there. And as you know, what I really need it for, which would be worth the money, is to have an edit feature, because my blind ass makes more typos and stuff. So
I mean, so do I. There's been so many words this year that it's I promise you, I know what that word means. I just typed the wrong thing.
So anyway, the spelling bee, Stu Wade is well, you have to have something in your bio, I think, helps you get you can't just kind of. So we had to come up with a bio, and he's like, "What's interesting?" I don't know what's interesting. I feel and I said, "Oh, I won the 5th grade," and he put that in there, and so I've never changed it.
You want to know I had to do a similar fun fact for work at WFAA. You want to know what my fun fact was? That maybe I should put. I think I had it in my bio at one point.
What is it?
I am the winner of, I can't remember which annual goat milking competition, the regional goat milking competition in Amarillo. I won in, 2018.
Wait a second. You were out of college, adult, and did a goat milking competition?
They had talent from the TV stations go out and do it.
And you won it.
We were all on different teams for the TV station, and my team won. No help from my teammates. I think I got a gallon out of this goat. It was crazy. Did you
just nag the milk out of it, or
I don't know what I did. I just found a motion and a method that worked and went with it.
I'm just trying to keep you from walking into a really funny clip right here. So.
Yeah, there's the trophy. It has a bucket that was kicked in, and my name's on it.
Wow, I'm impressed. Yep. I have not.
I should have grown up on a farm, I guess.
I think you just lectured the goat and told him how wrong he was about everything. And he just said, "Dude, if you just stop talking, I'll turn over the milk."
No, I mean, I think I milked all of the. I got all of the milk for our team, so
that's
congratulations
awesome.
To those who just got to ride my coattails. I was basically the Alabama of that goat milking team.
You're the Nick Saban of milking goats. I like it. All right, let's get on with this. There's too much to talk about, right? Let's start with just take us through what your thoughts were coming out of Starkville. Texas in overtime erasing that 17-point fourth quarter, and it wasn't even a 17-point fourth quarter deficit. It was 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, 17-point deficit.
I think it was closer to I can't remember
9
when
minutes.
First. I feel like it was 12 points when we scored our first points, and then it was. And one of them wasn't even a touchdown. It was settled for a field goal, which was shocking to me with Sark, but I'm happy he did it. It was a right decision at that time, because you have enough time on the clock, you can get the ball back, you can score another touchdown, and obviously, it ended up being the right decision. But I think biggest takeaway is O-line is still Swiss cheese. Yeah. We saw that. Sark ended up getting injured. I don't think directly because of the O-line. It was
Sark, you said Sark got hurt. It threw me off.
yeah, Sark did not
They
get hurt.
sacked him too.
Arch got hurt.
Yeah.
No damage. The same thing happened on Texas football. Somebody misspoke, and we accidentally faux killed off Craig Way.
Oh, I
everybody,
remember that.
everybody
Yeah.
was like, "What happened to Craig Way?" And I was like, "No, no, no. Craig Way's still alive. I promise."
Yep.
Sark did not get injured. Arch got injured. Likely out for Vanderbilt, which we'll discuss that more later. We talk about the week to come. But other than that, especially with what he was dealing with as far as the O-line play still being subpar, he had a fantastic performance compared to what happened in Kentucky.
Yep.
Fantastic. Probably what I'd say his best performance all year as far as just accuracy of passes. There were a couple drops, but a lot of them were on the receivers. He had some dead-ons to Wingo that Wingo he's got to catch those. His only major ding was that interception where he threw into double coverage, which bad decision. It's going to happen from time to time. And it was his first turnover in, I think, 3 games. He's been really good, or first interception in 3 games. He's been really good at just ball security.
Yeah.
And again, no fumbles. For as much as he gets hit for not turning over the ball more.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a lot of fumbles and tipped balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I feel like a lot of people don't notice how much he gets hit, especially on the passes that are complete, because the camera pans away from him and it goes to the receiver, obviously. But some of these, it's just he gets the ball out and it's the next 0.1 second he is obliterated.
Yeah.
And so personally, I thought an injury was bound to happen before too long. It's just the fact that the protection is so horrendous. It continues to be horrendous. There were a couple moments in this game where they got it together and held him a decent pocket, but he still looked best when he was running outside of the pocket and just making decisions on his own, and throwing on the run is one of his strengths. Biggest go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, that's kind of my thing. We'll talk in a second about Texas, like what's up next and what's upcoming. And I've seen some optimism, not you, I'm not saying you're negative, but I've seen on social media people, hey, we win this weekend, without saying it, they're like, we can go beat Georgia and A&M. And we know that every team in the SEC this year almost can beat the other team. But to me, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, man, against those defenses,
I think you need to focus on next week.
Yeah, you better get, but you better get a lot better on the offensive line, because somehow, and I don't know how you do it.
Figure out how to play around it. Do something to.
But
I
don't think you can play around it against teams that have capable offenses, because you're getting wrecked by some of these much lesser defenses. And when you're playing teams that have offenses that can A, light up the scoreboard, or B, ball control, they'll be able to choke Texas out if they can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, they still, no matter what, I don't think it's as easy as Sark being able to figure out how to scheme around not having I know he did that against OU, but you can't do that long term against teams that can score. You could do that against OU and nickel and dime it, because they're not going anywhere on the scoreboard with that offense. I know the fans in Norman hate to hear that, but they're not putting any distance between you. So you can do that, and it can be 6-3 at halftime, right? Other teams, I don't think they can. And I think you said this weeks ago, Amanda, and I was a little slower to come around. Arch has been playing really well considering the pressure. And this week, like you said, best game so far. 3 weeks ago against OU, that was his best game to date. So you're seeing the adjustment and the improvement, but it's just this offensive line is so bad. It's going to cost you guys more football games. They have to figure out how to get a quick Band-Aid on that. I don't know how, but I've been there.
I don't know how
I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen A&M teams where the O-line, you're just they're going to get this guy killed. I saw them do it to Haynes King in 2021, where he didn't last 2 games into the season because of it, and they ended up getting 3 quarterbacks hurt that year. And this line looks similar to that. So hopefully,
I mean,
Arch
it's
is
impressive
healthy.
that Arch has not gotten hurt yet.
Yeah.
until now, or I should say until now, because I mean, and I don't know if you rewatched or saw the play at all, but he
Yeah,
apparently did
it's
not
nasty.
remember the play after it happened.
When you hit
So
your head on
that's
the ground, that is so
yeah,
much. You know, y'all take falls in soccer, and when you hit your head, that's that second hit where the head hits the ground. That is so
yeah. Oh,
dangerous.
I've dove into a pole before, so I know what
Like a net,
concussion.
like on the
I
goal.
used to be a goalkeeper, and I was
Oh
diving
yeah.
and pole. Not the pole wins every time.
Hmm.
But anyways, continuing on that, the defensive struggle, like obviously the offensive line just doesn't even surprise you at this
Hmm.
point anymore. They need to figure it out. It's been saying that it's just a broken record at this point. If you don't figure that out, I don't see how you get through these next few games successfully. But the defense was my biggest surprise because they seemed a little bit more reminiscent of this defense we saw against Florida.
Hmm.
Definitely some weaknesses showed. The pass protection was not great. They were just getting blown up on a lot of plays. But then at the same time, they had some moments where they came up huge. Just some Anthony Hill had an insane game,
Yeah, he
some
did.
major fourth down stops. I mean, the fact that Jeff Lebby continued to try to go for it on fourth down was just impressive.
Buffoon, by the way.
I
Like,
was about to say, have you learned nothing?
here's the thing too. It, I don't I don't fault like I liked Elko going for it on his own end against Arkansas, but you take into account there is 10 minutes left. You're up 3. Worst case scenario, you're down with a couple drives to go. But they hadn't stopped your offense yet. You weren't stopping theirs. So, and you were the better team. Like Elko surely knew and felt that through 3+ quarters of football. Like we're the better team. We're imposing our will. In this instance, Jeff Lebby did it what, twice on his own side of the
Twice.
field. Like
Yeah.
understand, like punt the ball, get your defense out there, get pressure on the quarterback. He's likely to make mistakes. Get the crowd involved. Instead, you essentially gifted Texas, was it 10 or 14 points on those 2
Something
drives?
like that. I think it was 10.
So
When
when
I'm
you
looking at the
lose,
whole.
it's your fault. Like as
Yeah.
a head coach, you got to go back and go, why in the hell did I go for those 2 plays? Punt the ball to Texas, make them, while they're struggling,
Also, the
drive the
way they could
field.
have won that game is just not punting the ball to Ryan Niblett.
Or that. Yeah.
Why are
Dumbest.
teams still punting it to him?
Well, and to punt it to him basically in the middle of the field. I mean,
He's
do you not have a punter that can? I would give up 15 yards on a poor kick and try to kick it out of bounds rather than kick the ball to
yeah.
this kid. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
mean, incredible return. That return alone, it caused Peyton to nearly put a dent into my front door, attempting to run through it.
Y'all are nuts, dude. I
I'm
watched
not
that.
sure what she was. I guess we weren't really thinking in that moment. But there is a lipstick stain on my front door, and she is going to the doctor to get her tailbone checked because door won, and she landed on that
She landed
tailbone.
right on her butt.
Landed right on the tailbone. She hit her elbow in the process as well.
I would
So
make a joke that I want to write that door a thank you letter for taking out
we're
Peyton, but I just feel like she'll get
we're
me
gonna put her
back.
in injury reserve for now.
Yeah, like I want to personally thank your door for doing that, but at the same
That's
time, like,
rude.
I was
That's
gonna say I
rude.
feel like she'll get me back for saying that. So maybe we'll just pretend that I never said that.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
But
Anyways, continuing on the defense.
lipstick stain
Taff,
on my front door sounds like a damn country song.
anyways, continuing on the defensive play, I think Taff was definitely missed, especially in the secondary. He's just a leader on that defense.
Hmm.
It'll be nice to. I won't have him back for Vanderbilt, but will have him back for Georgia, so that or it's penciled in that he will
Yeah.
be back for Georgia. So hopefully that is the case.
How do you feel about them rushing him back potentially from a
I don't
hand
think they're
injury?
really. I mean, this it's
17
different than if
days.
it's different than if it was a quarterback.
Kidding.
He's not throwing the ball with.
I'm giving you shit for the material.
I think it's more than 17 days as well. I think it's closer to 3 because we have a bye week.
Yeah.
So you got that.
So
You got
did
2
OU.
football games and a bye week he's missing. That's more than what Mateer missed. I mean,
Mateer
I wish they
missed. No,
would put a
Mateer
club
missed.
on him and put him in the game. You
Yeah,
know?
Mateer missed one game in a bye week. Yeah.
Yeah. So
All
he'll
right.
miss
So
two.
here's my question for you, because you kind of talked about it. Like, are you concerned at all about the Texas defense? And I know you and I have butted heads about this all year, and at no point have I ever, nor will I sit here today and say that they're not a really good defense. Are you concerned, though, because they have to kind of be – if I'm a Texas fan sitting here today, Amanda, I'm looking at the schedule, right? And I'm saying, how do I get to 10? How do I keep my dream of Atlanta alive? How do I get in the playoffs and then anything can happen, right? But I'm looking at the schedule and then I'm going, okay, we're not doing that, and we're probably going to be 7-5 if we don't play elite defense. I think that to beat the teams on y'all's schedule, right, I think this defense is going to have to be great. And I'm not saying it can't be, but I'm saying if I'm a Texas person sitting here right now, I'm going, we have to play elite football more like we did in Norman.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. You're kind of going on a tangent here about
I'm going to go on a tangent.
I'm not concerned.
You know what?
I'm not concerned.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Look at Oklahoma. Look at the play against Oklahoma.
Florida. Look at Kentucky.
Look at the play against Ohio State.
Game 1 against a quarterback that never played.
Still, okay, you want to sit here and bitch and moan about a defense. I think this team has a lot bigger things to worry about than a defensive performance.
I totally agree.
I think it's kind of ridiculous to sit here and be critical of the one thing that has proven to be a strength. Yes, they have struggled in
38 to Mississippi State.
Okay, and your defense gave up how many to Arkansas?
And they gave up 9 to Mississippi State.
Okay,
and
cool. They still gave up. Okay, we still have Arkansas on the schedule, so I'll report back to this.
Okay, they gave up nothing in the second half against LSU. They gave up 9 to Mississippi State.
And how many did Texas give up to Oklahoma?
Oklahoma's offense stinks.
And how many did they give up to Ohio State?
7 in game 1.
So it doesn't count because it was week 1? I'm going to clarify that.
It counts, but I'm just saying, I think for Texas to...
I'm answering your question. I'm not concerned.
Well, I'm giving an opinion, so I'm going to finish.
You can be concerned about that all you want to be, but I think A&M has a lot more to be concerned about than Texas maybe having a sketchy defense.
A&M has more to be concerned about.
They have more stuff they should focus on other than the fact that they should focus on taking advantage of the fact that the Texas offense is struggling and focusing on considering that Texas will probably play their strongest form of defense when they're playing A&M.
Oh, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. But I'm just sitting here. We're talking about Texas.
You're just sitting there trying to nitpick at whatever shit you can about a team you don't like.
That's not true at all. I'm actually watching the game, and I'm going.
Were you watching the game, or were you at a wedding?
A wedding was Sunday.
Okay.
So I didn't get to rewatch it, but I watched it. No, I just think. Like,
you literally texted me during the game. What's happening?
Oh, at the end,
I don't think you were watching the game.
At the end, I missed the last. Luckily, I missed the part when you came back. But here's my thing. I'm not nitpicking. I'm sure they're talking about it in that building this week. You've got to look at that defense right now and say they have to be this elite group that you're talking about. And
point out the weak points for me if you have so many concerns. Tell me the exact areas of the defense and who is struggling on the defense if you have these concerns.
I don't know who's struggling, but I know 38 points to Mississippi State and Kentucky with 400 some odd yards and Florida.
And how many points?
And Florida getting them in the run and through the pass like 2 ways. So that's 3 of your last 4 games. Yeah, and it's 13 points against.
But I'm also going to go back to one of your favorite things that you love to lean on: SEC road games versus SEC home games.
Yeah.
And how many SEC road games versus SEC home games are left on Texas's schedule? And where were those sketchy defensive performances?
On the road.
Yes.
Where's the Georgia
there are 3 home games left on Texas's schedule. I think the defense is bound to play more consistently, can't talk, in a home environment.
I agree with that. I always agree. I will never disagree with that. I will say Vandy, Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M all have, I don't know what the cutoff is, but I would say and you can fact check me later if I'm wrong, I would say those are 4 top half of the SEC offenses, and a couple of the very best ones.
Let me check.
And a lot of good quarterbacks left in Pavia, Stockton, Green, and Reed. I mean, those are some tough challenges coming up for the defense. And like I said, they're just going to have to not give up very many points down the stretch. It's just that, to me, that's factual, and they're going to have to be better than they were Saturday. That's all I was saying. Are you looking it up?
Arkansas we knew Arkansas. They're number 2 right now in total offense.
Yeah.
A&M is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total offense.
Okay.
Vanderbilt 6, Georgia 7.
So, okay.
And Mississippi State is 8.
Yeah.
So right up there.
Challenges for the defense. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, yes, there's challenges for the defense. I'm just saying.
Thought you had me there.
I think it would be wasted energy to be overtly concerned about a defense that I'm pretty sure PK can figure out how to get them I'm not concerned about PK not being able to get them on the same page moving forward. And it will be helpful to finally have their leader back in Michael Taff come Georgia, which is the next road game.
Yeah. I mean, it's the team strength. That's what I'm saying. The team strength is going to have to carry you guys. That's what I
said. The entire coming into this season was defense was going to have to carry this team, because it's not a team that's going to normally put up 45 points. It's never going to. That was an abnormal amount of points for Texas.
I mean,
it's just not the identity of the team. The identity of the team, even though I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe Colin Simmons said somebody asked if the identity of the team, how does it feel, the identity of the team being the defense? And he said, no, the identity of the team is the defense and the offense and the special teams, because we're a team. So, but I mean, I personally think the identity of the team is going to have to be defense moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. And the identity of Mississippi State is to lose football games. These poor guys, I mean, what happened Saturday, everybody watching knows. It was a heroic effort to lose that game, and they have to look back and go, head coach, dumb decisions, defensive player, late hit on Arch, or that game's over. And so to screw yourselves out of that win at home in that environment, which
I mean, you look at some of their last games. So Florida could have won that one.
You have the ball and throw.
Couldn't have had that one. Tennessee
and Florida and Texas. Yeah. Tennessee, Florida, and Texas. Mississippi State has to be going, we could have, should have, would have won those, except we did this. Florida, you threw a stupid interception when you're about to tie the game with a field goal or win it outright. You throw an interception to a D lineman as time's running out. Tennessee, like you said, overtime. Texas, overtime. These poor guys. If I was a Mississippi State fan, 16 losses in a row now in the SEC.
They do have Arkansas next week, so could have a shot there.
I would feel miserable, but I also think that Levy's team is so much better than it was a year ago. It's not even funny.
They are. And I mean, a lot of former Longhorns on that team as well, more than I realized. But Brennan Thompson, one of the big ones, their wide receiver that's been doing really well from Spearman, Texas. I actually covered him when I lived in Amarillo. He's been doing really well up there. Didn't really have a role on the Texas offense.
They got a DN.
And he is, fun fact about him, he is one of the only player that's ever won the Red River rivalry on both sides of the Red River.
Oh, wow.
So he won it playing with Texas, won it when he was playing with OU.
I had no idea about that.
No.
So a near disaster, though, averted in Starkville. And like I've always said, it is when you go on the road, especially in like the second half of the season at night or late in the afternoon, for these big showcase games, you better be ready, because it is Texas. Like, if you don't know the SEC, you don't give them credit for beating a Mississippi State team that has now lost 16 conference games in a row. if you know the SEC and you know how improved that team was, and you know how tough it is in that environment when those fans want to will that team to a win, then you tip your cap and you go, all you do is get out of there with a W. I don't feel that way about Kentucky at Kroger Field. I think you guys really...
Kentucky was a bad... I think I felt worse about the Kentucky game than I did about the Mississippi State game, which is strange. I mean, the Mississippi State game, I think, is another instance where I don't think the defense is going to play bad 2 weeks in a row or play poorly 2 weeks in a row. One. Two, I think it actually showed that there is some semblance of offense to be found within this team. But that's obviously going to have to look a little different in the next week. Hopefully not weeks. I guess there is a bye week after Vanderbilt. So that bye week is very aptly placed considering the injury to Arch.
It's an SEC road win, and you got 2 of them in 3 tries this year. So again, that's the biggest thing. And speaking of SEC road wins, A&M.
Did you like how I titled this, "The Beatdown in the Bayou"?
It was a beatdown in the Bayou, and I was sweating.
My favorite question is, who do you think is happier after this game? A&M fans or LSU fans for getting rid of Brian Kelly? Because I think the LSU fans might be giving A&M fans a run for their money from what it looks like on social media. They wanted that man gone.
I think both are very happy. They were very happy Saturday night.
For different reasons.
I don't think the LSU fans wanted to go through that because they can act like they don't. Those people hate A&M. I think there's
But I don't think he would have been fired without that, honestly.
No, but it was coming. Like he
eventually, but
he could have beaten A&M and he would if he would have lost a couple more. They're done. Like they didn't have to win out, but they would certainly have to go no worse than 9-3. Like that would have been but the way that one went down, and I'm so happy because I'm going to tell you, Amanda, I know what LSU fans think of A&M. It's different than the A&M Texas hate. It is like this condescension coming out of that bayou it is unbelievable. And I know I've
never been there, so I can't picture it.
The atmosphere,
I don't think they hate Texas fans as much as they hate A&M fans.
Well, they don't play y'all, they've played that 20, y'all probably played like twice, I bet, in the last 20 years.
They're on the schedule, I can't remember when we play them, but they're on one of the future SEC schedules for us.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be coming up here. But we can joke and talk about Longhorn and Aggies, and we can say that, Texas fans are condescending and all, but it is the LSU fans. They think that like football was a game invented for Louisiana State University. They think it's their birthright to beat A&M, which is weird because when I was in college, LSU canceled the series with A&M because the Aggies were beating them every year, and they canceled it, never paid the buyout. And then they started the SEC, though, by beating A&M 6 straight years. The Aggies were 0-6. Since then, A&M's won now, what is that? They've won...
And we're back and forth, hasn't it?
They're 4-2. A&M's 4-2 in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
They've won 3 out of the last 4 against LSU.
It sounds very similar to Texas OU right now, as far as just like historically they beat you a lot. I mean, Texas still has overall numbers on that rivalry, but also just how you talk about the fandom and how Texas fans perceive Oklahoma fans sounds very similar to how you're talking about LSU fans.
So you've been there 2 of the last 3 years where you guys have watched as the OU fans have emptied out of the stadium. It's such a great feeling, right? And for A&M to drive LSU so they can't do that suck that tiger blah 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 at the end of their game.
It's called neck.
They can't play neck at the end of that game. I wish the fighting Texas Aggie band and the Cora cadets and the yell leaders could have led.
I think playing neck is below the core of cadets.
I know, but I wish we could have had the core and the yell leaders directing neck in that same student section that Aggie fans took over. You saw the videos. So to beat LSU,
That would be the ultimate troll.
You know what I was wanting at the end of that? I wanted 56 points, Amanda, because 49 wasn't enough. I wanted just same way you guys are when you're at the Red River, the last couple, with the
kill them in the fourth quarter, even we're up 49-0.
Yeah, and you wanted more points, right?
I wanted 50.
I did too. 49, exactly how I felt. I was like, I wanted over 50, and I was so pissed when they scored a touchdown in the final minute too. But like, it's not because they've been beating you up. A&M's 3-1 in the last 4. They're, I think, 5-4 now in the last 9. But it's just because, like, how good they think they are versus the reality, which is, I've told you this. This is now 13 times in 14 years in the SEC that LSU has lost at least 3 games, 3 or more. I
think the SEC has successfully created a second rival for you guys.
It has, and it kind of goes across other sports too. You think about particularly baseball, but no, it was such a good win though. Like all joking aside, it was a massive win for A&M because what they hadn't done is they were 0-6 in Death Valley since going to the SEC. You do need to win on the road in this league, and A&M's now done that twice, in 2 tries. You do need to. They've done it 3 in 3 tries when you count South Bend. So they've won in South Bend at night. They've won in Death Valley at night. I was worried about the Fayetteville trip just because of how weird that rivalry is. But this team needed it. But as we sit here today, you realize they didn't need it just to check a box and say we've won in Death Valley. They didn't need to get Brian Kelly fired, but they did. And that's a bonus for us, for you, for everyone that tries to recruit the state of Texas and the state of Louisiana. I want to see LSU go through a coaching change. I want to see Florida. I want to see it happen at Auburn and A&M hopefully.
Do you think Lane Kiffin can coach at 4 different places?
Because they're all going to want him, aren't they? That is so true. Auburn's going to want him. LSU.
I saw a meme of a guy watching a 4 multi thing of football games, and it's like Lane Kiffin next season coaching at 4
Lane
different
Kiffin's
schools.
In Oxford, Gainesville, Auburn, and Baton Rouge all at once. He's a quarter of the SEC. God, his name. He's going to name his price, isn't he? It's going to be
Did you
crazy.
see his commentary, his little back and forth with Brent Venables about how Brent Venables was like, we were the better team. And Lane Kiffin was like, oh, really? Because looking at this, and this, you were not the better team. It's like, get him.
He's like me and you. You watch him go at it on the podium. But let me tell you something about Chet Venables.
Burnt vegetables.
He is in trouble. We're going to talk about them in a minute. Let's get back to this A&M. But it wasn't so it's a big win for you want instability at places that have recruits and players on their roster and all this, because especially when you have program momentum, right? But the biggest thing is the here and now, right? Texas A&M needed this game, Amanda, not for any of those reasons, but because they're playing for things they've never done before right now. A trip to Atlanta, a chance to win your first SEC title, a chance to go to the playoffs for the first time. And in a year when it's so wide open, who knows beyond that? So this game was so significant because it was a significant hurdle, and we all knew it because of the venue and the potential of LSU, which A&M killed off Saturday night. But it was a dangerous spot in the schedule, and now you're at 8 and you're playing Samford. You're at 9, and you got South Carolina at home, and then after that you've got the road trip to Missouri, and now they're suffering. They're not going to have their starting quarterback for that one, and then you've got Texas at the end.
Did you see the injury update on him, that it's not permanent?
Yeah, thank God. Good for him, but I would be shocked if
that was scary looking.
You're I'd be shocked. He's not going to be back for that A&M game in 2 weeks, I wouldn't imagine, but thank goodness it looked a lot worse. But so if you're A&M, though, you took a massive step towards the college football playoff this weekend by getting that 8th
I mean,
win.
I think they make it at this point. I think it's theirs to lose, and I don't think you lose to Samford, obviously. That would be really bad.
No, yeah.
And I don't think you lose to Mizzou, especially with their quarterback out. I don't think you lose to Mizzou. I still think the Texas game is up in the air, as even if Texas is, I think A&M's a better team this year, obviously, but as you know, with rivalry games,
For sure.
you kind of put those numbers out the window at that point because there's just so much passion, so much energy, other things impacting that game.
Well, let's be real. If A&M rolls in there and it's one of two things, either Texas is going to have something very real and very tangible to play for, or they're not, and they're going to be like, it hasn't gone the way we wanted to, but let's knock these sons of guns out of Atlanta, or let's knock them into
But do they knock you out of Atlanta? Even with the Texas loss, I think you go to Atlanta.
Maybe if we're 11-1, but yeah.
Yeah. What other one is on your schedule are you going to lose?
Well, I don't think they will, but I mean, I just think going up to Missouri, they've got a really good defense and a good running back. I mean, I'm picking A&M to win that game, but I'm saying, like, if there's a chance for Texas to screw something up or if they've got something to play for, and it's going to be one or the other, so there'll be plenty of incentive no matter what.
Either way, I do think it's a back against the wall type game for Texas, which is always scary for an opposing team when you have to play at their home.
Yeah.
But I mean, you saw that last year at A&M, and you saw how that went. I'm not going to act like home field matters in this situation, honestly, because I just think rivalry games are so much bigger than a home field advantage, especially when it comes to the caliber of rivalry that Texas and Texas A&M is. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay Kyle Field at all, because Kyle Field is arguably like the most insane place to play in college football, but the rivalry energy, it's a different kind of magic that comes on those nights.
Well, I think those kids, honestly, like, they want the Texas Longhorn players wanted to come to Kyle Field. They wanted to play here. They were excited about the environment and seeing it. And you're like a gladiator. How could you not want to go play in a place like that? The Aggies are going to be so fired up to go down to Austin this year and play at night against the burnt orange. I mean, that's how these athletes are.
I think it'll be the loudest game since Alabama came to Texas to play. And I mean, there are Alabama players saying that was the loudest place they've ever played, and that was an 11 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah, that was a game right there. That was y'all's, like, let's prove
they
we
might be
belong
good
in
again
this.
moment.
Yeah, it was. It was. That was a turning point, even in a loss, I felt like, for you guys. Because then you went on to win the Big 12 and then came storming in after that. Real quick, like, what I thought of this game, my biggest takeaways were
I have a friend that was wanting to come up.
Notch. How's Nacho doing? Is he full right now? You fed him twice.
He only got one dinner. We coordinated tonight.
To me, here are my takeaways. The A&M offense, if you start really breaking down the numbers against Power 4 opponents this year, and I'll just go off points. 41 against Notre Dame. That's by far the most the Irish have given up this year, and they've played USC and Miami. 16 against Auburn. That's the blip. But even in that game, that was 13 or 14 penalties, and you outgained them 2-1. But then you go 34 against Florida. That's the most the Gators have given up, and they've played Texas, Miami, South Florida, and LSU, among others. And then Arkansas, you score 45. You scored almost every time you had the ball. And then 49 against LSU. So they're real. They've and 38 against or 31 against Mississippi State with a 28-point second half. So they are really scoring points. Like A&M fans and Longhorn fans that follow the Aggies, we're not used to this really ever out of A&M football, with the exception of like that 2-year run of Johnny, Mike Evans, Ryan Swope. So that's special. Reed's leading the way there. We'll talk about him in a minute. And also, Amanda, the defense needed that game in a bad way after 40 points on the road to Notre Dame, 42 on the road to Arkansas. And
How'd they look in the first half? I didn't watch much of the first half
they
of that
looked
game.
fine. LSU hit some plays, and they gave up 18 points. 2 were a safety. And
I remember the safeties. Those were
one was an interception that gave them a short field, and the other one A&M got off the field 3 and out, and then they had a stupid penalty that kept a drive going. So they weren't great by any stretch, but then in the second half, a complete shutdown. LSU was shut out for 29 of those 30 minutes. They
I think
scored.
Peyton and I got bored watching this.
Yeah.
I was like, at least make it somewhat interesting. This is just boring at this point. I can't remember which receiver it was, but the one-handed catch.
Ashton Bethel Roman, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was a crazy catch.
So, I mean, again, and I think your star players rose to the occasion the other night, and they're doing it. You and I talked before the season. I said for A&M to be a surprise team, they had to develop stars. Like we knew going into the season about Simmons and Hill and Taft. You know, a year before we knew about Ewers and Golden and those same guys.
You didn't know about Golden. You were questioning Golden. You called him an untested receiver and didn't think he would be him and the entire receiver room. You said that was questionable before going into Texas's season last year. That was one of my quote tweets I pulled on you after.
And I'm realizing this.
Which I mean, honestly, it's a fair assessment, even though I tried to tell you otherwise. I think Golden was a really good receiver at Houston.
Yeah.
Houston's a solid. It's not. You're not transferring in from a Troy. It's Houston.
No. A&M wanted Golden out of the portal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I did say that. Let's move on. But
I mean, you were a little bit more. Well, I don't know. This year, I think Parker Livingston is really developing into being a special player, and he's a true freshman. People probably didn't have quite as much. Not true freshman. I think he's redshirt freshman. But he's not somebody that I think a lot of people from the outside of the Texas media landscape had on their radar. Emmett Mosley also getting some touches in this week. I think he transferred from Stanford. So I think you've just seen like his just the bare minimum of what he's capable of. He had that reception against from Caldwell in the overtime, and then one more that was kind of a toe tapper, I think, in the I can't remember which quarter.
I had a question for you.
Too many points.
A question
What's
for
your
you.
question?
Can I go back to talking about A&M here, or are we just drifting into Parker Livingston?
Sorry, my ADD took over. Continue.
I'm kidding.
We got talking about receivers.
I rambled you into oblivion. I knew what was happening.
Yeah, you were rambling for a good period of time. You can't say you weren't doing that.
Let me land this plane and say, I said those star players need to step up. And if you just take Saturday night for an example. Cassius Howell, who leads the SEC in sacks, had 2 of them against LSU. They had 7 against Nussmeier, put an absolute beating on him. Marcel Reed, 100 yards rushing, 200 passing, 4 touchdowns on the road in Death Valley. You had Concepcion with they're 1-2 in the nation, right? You pointed that out to me today, Niblett and Concepcion in punt return. And they are. Sometimes stats can be misleading. Those aren't. Those 2 dudes are electric with the football in their hands. And he, just like Niblett did, it was a game-changing play because A&M was down at halftime. They took the lead, stopped them, 3 and out, punt return, 877 yards. All of a sudden, you're up 10, and that Death Valley got real quiet, and they started to leave. So your star players have been stars. And then finally, a guy to keep an eye on, Amanda, moving forward, Jamarian Morrow. All game, all they talked about was this true freshman running back from LSU, who was impressive. Jamarian Morrow was the best true freshman running back on the field, hence the 2 touchdowns. He had 1 running. He had 1 receiving. He had 4 touches for 50 yards. He caught a touchdown a couple weeks earlier against Florida. They're going to keep using him moving forward as long as Le'Veon Moss is hurt. And he's going to be, you're going to start hearing us talk about him more. So let's jump into A&M moving forward because then we got a game to discuss before we go. We got to talk Horns and Vandy.
Yeah. My take on A&M moving forward is I'm calling it now that A&M should cruise to Austin undefeated. That is my call.
Okay. I don't, you know how I am. I get like tentative.
I mean, I'm just looking at the LSU game. They seem to put it all together in the second half of that LSU game. So if you can ride on that, you just can't get complacent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the bye week comes at a good time too, because that was a pretty emotional game last week. And they can just kind of regroup and say, look, guys, here's what's ahead of us. It's 3 conference games. That we got to dial in. But you know me, like I'll talk a lot of shit, but when push comes to shove, I get a little tentative about going out there on a limb. But I agree with you. I mean, I think they should go into Austin unbeaten. Like they should beat Missouri without Bo Prabula. And I think I would have picked him anyway, but it's a tougher game. And then they should win at home against South Carolina. I know they almost beat Bama this weekend. That's a different football. It's like Mississippi State. They're a different football team at home because it's a real advantage.
Yeah.
I think
even though they laid an egg against OU at home the week prior.
Yeah, they
which
did.
Is
That's true. That's true. I think just this is uncharted territory for A&M. We know that. I think people, though, are waking up, and I said they would last week. They're waking up around the country to they're waking up around the country to the Aggies and to Marcel Reed. Because now people are looking at the schedule and they're going, huh. And now you do have a win in Death Valley to go with a win in South Bend. They're starting to look, you've noticed since Saturday, people are really now they're not quantifying it with that asterisk or that but. They're saying A&M is a national title contender. And that list will ebb and flow and it'll fluctuate, but they're finally saying that about A&M because they've watched them enough, and that resume took another step this week. And I think their resume.
You are saying Death Valley, but once again, LSU is now unranked.
Yeah.
So
that's fine.
I'm not trying to take away from that. I just because winning in Death Valley is hard still, but if you're using the same metric you used to base Texas's schedule on last year, that of how many ranked opponents were defeated, there were a lot of opponents that were ranked before Texas beat them, A&M included.
Wow. Here's the thing.
Just point that out. Just point that out.
It's a fair point. It really is. And you know what? That point, well, you know what it'll have people going, she's just, but it's a factual statement. It's a factual statement.
I'm just holding you to the same standard you held Texas to last season.
Okay. And you know what? Texas came within a goal line non-stand or whatever we want to call it.
A&M has a bad habit of winning a lot of hypothetical games in their head based on things that didn't happen, or at least you do.
No. You read that wrong.
Okay. Let you finish.
I'm saying Texas. I was on their ass last year about the schedule, as you know, and God knows how much you've made me just go, God, Billy, you could have just said
I pulled 11 tweets today of Billy complaining about Texas's football schedule last season.
In 10 seconds. It was ridiculous. I was just
11 tweets. There has got to be something better you can do with your time than complain about Texas's schedule.
On certain days, probably not. There are days where I'm like, what's the best?
Walk Griffin or something.
Sometimes
he deserves attention.
Sometimes I do it while walking him. I'm like, Texas schedule.
It's dangerous at your age to be walking and texting.
You had to get that in. We have certain listeners that are going to love that because they love the fact that you've got a streak of making old jokes. But I've
seen the size of the text on your phone. It's the larger font.
I probably shouldn't. The girl sitting next to me on the plane today was laughing, literally some total stranger, about how big the font was on my phone. I go, let me just tell you something. You're going to read and be able to see every text I send during this flight, so enjoy. But no, like, now you got me. You see, now I'm completely sidetracked. All I was going to say is, here's the thing. A&M, their resume LSU not being ranked notwithstanding, they've got the number one strength of record. That is something that factors into the playoff rankings. And they still have that massive road win that Notre Dame continues to make look better, that kind of stands out more so than most almost.
Notre Dame's only ranked 12 now.
Yeah, but the thing is, Notre Dame it's an assumption, but it's likely they're going to keep winning out, and they're going to be not just a top 10 team, but they're going to have some really good metrics and numbers. That win by A&M up there is massive in terms of.
Oh, this is interesting. Where do you think Texas falls on the strength of record metric?
Well, probably fairly high, since they have one like bad loss and one loss that probably doesn't hurt them at all in that regard.
Yeah.
And
12.
Yeah, they've played a very. I mean, you want to go into it? I'll go into it. I want to make one.
I don't need to talk about schedules. We can just talk about football.
We're talking about football because that factors into rankings, and the playoff rankings will be coming out before A&M plays again. I wonder if they're not going to be number 2. I don't think they'll be ahead of Ohio State, but I'm wondering if they'll be number 2 in the first playoff ranking. It's A&M, probably A&M or Indiana. I think they'll be ahead of Bama in the playoff rankings. They should be.
Yeah, pending who wins the SEC championship.
No, I'm talking about like when the rankings come out. Our first set of rankings are due out here in a couple weeks. So, look.
So right now A&M only has one ranked win on their schedule.
Of the current top 25?
Of the current top 25.
I think overall, too. Well, no, LSU was ranked when they played them.
The only 2 remaining ranked teams are Missouri and Texas.
Which is interesting. It's funny how this works, because if A&M beats Missouri and it's their third loss, they're going to fall out.
Yep.
If Texas loses to Georgia.
It's funny how that worked, because that was our issue last year. We kept on beating these ranked teams, and they fell out of the rankings. Happened with Vanderbilt, happened with A&M.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Texas. Let's talk about this year's schedule. So A&M, they're not going to have a bunch of ranked wins. They didn't. But they could end up having 4 when the teams play. Notre Dame, LSU, and they got 2 more cracks at it with Mizzou.
Texas has 1 ranked win on their schedule right now.
Yeah, and Texas has a chance for 3 more.
But also, I think OU could drop out of the rankings too, potentially. 1 more loss.
So here's what's left for A&M. 2 ranked teams on the road. Texas has 3 ranked teams at home. Or 2 at home, 1 on the road. The Longhorns have 3 games against top 10 teams left. You get 2 top 10 at home this year. It's an interesting. I did think that this was a weak home schedule for the Longhorns.
Were you counting yourself in that?
No, well, yes, I was. I was counting A&M. Not as part of the weakness.
You were doubting the Aggies going into the season.
I was just saying.
Shame. You
Amanda,
put up that meme of the Handmaid's or whatever, the
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
I was not discounting A&M. I was just saying, though, the Aggies were like a preseason top 20, and that was like by far, it looked like the strongest home opponent. So
Texas's home schedule just sucks this year. It's just a bad, it was poorly laid out.
But now you look at it, and it doesn't when in 2 of your last 4 games, you're getting top 10 teams at home.
Okay, yeah, we get Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and A&M at home, but our only other home games, San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, end of the list.
Yeah, that's garbage. But that's where that rivalry.
I'm not complaining from a difficulty standpoint. I'm just complaining from that it kind of sucks. You get 3 really crappy games to start the season to watch at home, and you get some good ones on the tail end. But it'd be nice to just have it more dispersed.
That's where that rivalry game kills y'all too, though, because if you think about it, like you had.
I like it because it's basically a home game for me.
But you had Texas. You had OU, A&M, and Arkansas all at home this year, if that's a home and home. You wouldn't trade it, obviously, but that's where it hurts. That's why I'm glad the Aggies don't play Arkansas and Dallas anymore, because that didn't have any
Also,
meaning.
yeah, that also just wasn't. It didn't make as much sense.
Well, it had no
wasn't.
meaning. There was nothing.
Yeah.
No, neither side cared.
There's so much more energy with the OU Texas
Yeah.
rivalry that it can feel like a home game when you're on your side, and it feels like an away game when you're on the other side.
But yeah,
It feels
so
almost worse than an away game when you're on the other side.
it's wild to me that Texas does 3 of your last 4 games here are against top 10 opponents. It's pretty crazy how that worked out, I will say.
And who thought Vanderbilt was going to be a top 10 opponent? We should probably start talking about that game because we've been yapping about all kinds of things.
Let me say one more thing about Marcel Reed. His performance in Death Valley, in South Bend, combined with his season numbers, combined with just kind of, and the fact that Colin Klein said it today, the Heisman Trophy is first and foremost, and he's a finalist, so he knows it's a team award. You can't be on a terrible team and get there. You usually have to be on a great team and get there. He's got a real shot, and there's a third of the season left. He's got a real shot right now, and you're going to start hearing people this week, and I said it last week, and you're already hearing it. You're going to hear people talk about Marcel Reed very much in the Heisman discussion now, and it's interesting because I've said this about Longhorn players in the past, and I heard you say it this week. Not to say you're rooting for Aggie wins, but you're a fan of the kid, aren't you?
Yeah, he seems like just watching his interview after the game, he just seems like a really good, likable kid. I mean, it's easy to dislike quarterbacks like Johnny Manziel. You guys love him. Other people are going to dislike him just because of the attitude. Marcel is not that. Marcel seems like just a really good, genuine kid who seems humble and is just somebody that you would like to have as your quarterback. Just
let me tell you something
from a personality standpoint.
But I will tell you one thing. Just like I would have loved to have had Vince Young in maroon and white, I think 95% of your fan base would have liked to have had number 2 in burnt orange.
Oh no, that's not at all. I was trying to say.
I know what you're saying.
It's obvious why your fan base likes him.
Yeah, the opponents don't like him. Yeah.
The opponents' fan bases won't like him.
I'm with you though. Marcel reminds me of Colt in that regard. Whereas as Aggies, you go and look at him, you're like, damn man, this dude's don't make me change don't make me root for your success because it means your damn team's going to win too. Anyway, with that said about Marcel, let's look ahead because there's another Heisman candidate whose name gets mentioned a lot, and he's going to be playing in Austin on Saturday.
I think he mentions his own name more than anybody else at this point.
That's probably true. Diego Pavia, speaking
Diego Pavia, of Johnny, the little Rottweiler that could.
And he can.
He can. It'll be a good matchup. I read somewhere that this is actually a pretty decent matchup for Texas as far as just how the structures of each team goes and strengths and weaknesses. You are looking way too close at your phone to not be able to see that screen.
It was my picks. Go ahead. I didn't get my picks.
But I think the biggest concern for this game, and I mean, I've seen some online discourse about this, how Arch Manning's injured. I don't think he's not going to play this week. Concussion, you just don't want to mess with that. People saying, oh, Texas is going to get better now that Arch is injured.
Yeah.
That's probably the most lazy, disingenuous take you can have. Because, I mean, if you think obviously Arch has had his issues, there's no denying that at all. But if you think a different quarterback is going to be that's not as talented as Arch Manning, not as athletically talented, not as mobile, don't know much about his arm. We'll find out more. He had a decently placed pass against Mississippi State, but we don't have a slate of work from him that I feel like you can really go off of. You can look at his appearances at Troy. He's decent there, but that's Troy. That's not against a top 10 opponent in the SEC.
Vandy's got a solid defense. Unless Texas finds a running game and you just look up Saturday and you guys are gashing Vandy, then I don't think you win with 4 quarters of your backup quarterback against this team that's never played. He had a lot at Troy. That is fair.
I do think it's beneficial that Texas got CJ Baxter back last week.
They're going to have to be able to run.
got some sea legs under him again, because you're going to need both him and Wisner
Yeah.
doing something in this game to make stuff happen. You're going to need to try to utilize Ryan Niblett if you can, if they decide to punt to him, which I wouldn't. But
God,
yeah,
they're going to.
nerve-
Everybody does.
it's a nerve-wracking one for sure. I think there is a route where anything can happen in college football. I think it's probably the biggest test thus far, aside from OSU on the road and OU. Just to see if they can actually.
I think Vandy would beat OU. I do. I think I would take Pavia over Mateer any day of the week.
I think
something we were both
world
right
is
about.
Discovering how I was called. I got to say this right here because the Aggies that are listening will appreciate this as well. I said this on Texas Football that I would take Marcel Reed and his. I said this here too, that I would take him and the players around him over John Mateer and what he has around him any day of the week. CJ Vogel thought I was crazy.
Yep.
What now?
Yeah.
What I mean, you saw it too in the Michigan game. They won that game, but there's a better defense would have intercepted a lot of his throws.
Exactly.
And guess what? A better defense did. They intercepted him 3 times in the Cotton Bowl.
Yep.
And OU fans are blaming his thumb. What are you going to blame it on last weekend?
Yep.
You going to blame it on his thumb still?
And Ole Miss went in there with Trinidad Chambliss, and they went in there, and Trinidad Chambliss was the much better quarterback in that game at the Palace or whatever the hell they're calling that place now.
Mateer was. You can say what you want about Arch being on these Heisman lists. They were pumping the Mateer stock heavy as well. And
it was so interesting to see this.
I think there's more upside to Arch Manning than there is John Mateer.
I agree with that, and Arch has a long way to go, and it's his first year to start. It's not Mateer's first year to start. It's his first year at this level, but no, not this level in this conference.
Yeah.
There was too much put on him. There was too much, but I would take Vandy. I would say the OU game's tougher because of, like you always talk about, and you're right on the environment in Red River, but I think on a neutral field, Vandy's the team you're playing Saturday is better. They got better running backs. They got a much better offensive line.
Has hardly a running game.
Yeah, and a much better O-line. They've got a great tight end in Eli Stowers, the former Aggie quarterback. And they've got a solid defense. It's not special, but it's solid. I think Texas, though, if you want to save your season and make everybody go, oh, this is it. This is the week. It wasn't whether you beat Mississippi State by 100 or 1 and Kentucky. Those games don't matter. It's did you win them or did you lose them? This is the one that I think either ends the hopes and dreams of the season and makes Texas a significant disappointment, unless they go out and beat both Georgia and A&M along with Arkansas. But this is the one that I think either breaks the season or all of a sudden people around the country will go, all right, they may factor in after all. Like, this is a huge swing game for you guys down in Austin. And I think it should be a hell of a football game.
It's what Sark will like to call a culture game. It'll be one of those, especially with the number 16 on offense out, as well as the leader on offense and the leader on defense are out right now. So it's going to be a task. It's not going to be easy. I wouldn't be surprised if it does not go Texas's way. But what are you going to do as a fan? You're going to hope for the best and hope they find a way to put together something amazing.
This feels like the Longhorns setup, though, because the whole country is going to be rooting for little old Vandy. Little old Vandy.
I don't know. If Pavia keeps acting like he does in interviews, people might start not rooting for him quite as much.
Well, I feel like, though, they root for Pavia because he's the guy that won't be told no. He won't be denied.
I don't know. You should see some of the comments on his interview today. They were not kind to him in those comments. It was the online discourse was not pro Pavia.
I could see that too. But Yeah, so I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's one of the actually with what happened at Penn State, I think it's the game of the weekend in college football.
Lovely 11 a.m. kickoff in Austin.
All right, let's go real quick around the SEC. Bama and Texas both escaped. That would have shaken up the SEC quite a bit.
Yeah. It's borderline rooting for the upset, but Bama finds a way.
Bama hung on, so they keep hanging on. Poor South Carolina and Sellers should have won that one. Yep. I've told you before, I don't think Bama's great. I think they're really good.
I think there's very few teams that could be considered great this season, honestly. I feel like a lot of teams have shown some Achilles heels.
Yeah, they have. But I think Bama, they're not getting pinged for theirs anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're winning games. But I'm like, man, somehow that's a flawed football team. I don't think they win it. Is Tennessee a fraud? Their defense is terrible.
It could be. I mean, you look, their schedule, it's not that impressive. Let's see, pull up Tennessee's football schedule. I mean, they had a similar win against, where is it? Against Mississippi State, overtime with Mississippi State. I mean, Kentucky put up 34 on Tennessee. So there's that.
Did they?
Yep.
I didn't catch that one.
They scraped by Arkansas.
Yep. Scraped by Mississippi State.
Got pretty much pummeled by Alabama. I think there's a fair assessment for Tennessee to be a fraud. They're playing another team who a lot think are frauds, a.k.a. me. So I guess it'll be the battle of who's the actual fraud this weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee, with Oklahoma.
Yeah. OU, we put them on cooked watch, didn't we? You got killed for saying
there were some mean Sooners in that.
Nasty.
Callie texted. She's like, I didn't realize I'd get so much engagement. I was like, it's okay, just wait. We'll revisit this. This is one of those things you just save for later to come back to, because they'll be eating their words, and look what we have here.
They've got Bama, Mizzou, Tennessee, and LSU. Now, with what happened with Mizzou with Pribula, and what happened with LSU this week, Oklahoma, if they can beat Tennessee, they start to look interesting. They might be able to say, I told you so. I think they're going to lose to Bama. That would be their third loss. Yeah. But this game for them, if they lose this one, you're entering into very disappointing season in Norman. Yep. So I'll be interested to see how Chet Venables handles that. Missouri, I wrote, can they recover? I don't think they can recover. It's a question of, again, A&M's going to get this desperate football team that now has 2 losses. 3's going to knock teams like that out of contention for anything.
And with the backup quarterback.
Yeah, Mizzou, it's going to be tough. And their schedule, by the way, not even just A&M. We mentioned they play OU. They've got a tough slate. The rest of the way, too, compared to what they played early on. So let's talk about moving goalposts real quick, because I think we've covered a lot of this. The SEC grind, the SEC gauntlet. Yes. You did not do this. A lot of people last year were taking this whole thing of, SEC's not very tough. It's not as tough as we said. It's not. It's very tough. And by the way, you've got one SEC loss. Oh,
I do have one tweet from you last year of saying, is it early enough for me, or is it too soon for me to complain about how light Texas's schedule is next year?
Did I say their schedule?
You said that before the Ohio State game, when the schedules were released.
I'm gonna contend on this before I delete it. I'm not going to actually, but I think if I said schedule, then I look like a fool right now. If I said home schedule, I can find it. If I said home schedule.
No, you said schedule.
Okay. Well, what do they got? They got Ohio State. They're going to play how many top 10? 4 top 10 teams out of 12 games?
I guess you probably weren't considering yourself to be a top 10 team at the time.
Well, no. I just move on to the next. Here's the thing. They're going to play 4 top 10 teams in 12 games. When I said it, I certainly didn't think Vandy was going to be top 10. Yeah, I mean,
I think a lot of us didn't, so I think it's fair. But also, maybe a learning lesson to.
Can I just say I was wrong on that? Like, and I'm glad. And here's the thing. I'll say this: A&M.
I just don't think you can predict how hard a schedule is going to be in this age of college football successfully in the preseason for the most part, because I think it's just been proven with the nature of NIL and the transfer portal. Teams can look so different from year to year and can have massive swings, and things can just change very drastically. Obviously, there is some level of prediction you can do, but you can say, obviously, OU's schedule is probably one of the hardest you can look at. But at the same time, LSU has now dropped off. Mizzou's quarterback has gotten hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to say how easy or hard a team's schedule is going to be going into the season.
No, it's not. But here's the thing. We make these off-season statements, and you lean on like what you know, and then you say it, and you try to be right in what you say.
Here it is. I found the tweet.
That's all you can do, right?
So I think this was December 12th of 2024. Since y'all are still playing, is it too early for me to start complaining about how light Texas's 2025 SEC schedule is?
Okay. So at least I get the Ohio State one off of that one, right? At least,
yeah, you at least were smart enough to exclude that from the narrative.
I phrased that. At least I did that.
You salvaged yourself a little bit.
But I'm still, I mean, it's still, you're playing 3 SEC top 10 teams. And look, we sit here, don't we do this during the offseason? You try to lean on like what you know and whatever you are convinced you're right about, and then you say it.
Some of us don't lean into complaining about our rival's schedule for no reason.
It's not for no reason. We're like talking SEC. So it was you
weren't talking SEC. You were responding to a tweet of mine. Oh yeah, the tweet of mine. It was when the schedules were released. I said, "Month of October is a big old woof." And looking now, month of October has been a pretty big woof.
Yeah, you were right about that. Listen, sometimes I sit here and I'm like,
my response, maybe try to put some energy towards your own team first. You hadn't even commented about A&M's schedule, and you're in here replying about Texas.
Here's the thing. Texas' schedule, it actually is going to turn out, the SEC schedule, I think will turn out tougher than A&M. So I'm going to take a page from your book, and I'm going to say it doesn't matter because if the Aggies win enough games, which is probably 10,
that's
11.
what I've always said. I'm just pointing out your inconsistencies here.
You've converted me. And sometimes I
just
sit
win.
here.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes I sit here and I realize that sometimes it's better to say, you know what? I was wrong about that. You were right. And I saved myself.
I'm glad you learned.
I saved myself this.
Prove it in the SEC championship game.
Well, yeah, and you're going to have to prove it in Austin. Just like I did say that last year. Like, hey, Texas, I know you could find this. It's fine about the schedule. You have nothing to apologize for because you got to come win at Kyle Field. Then you had to
I re-quote tweeted that after we won at Kyle Field.
I know you did. You found everything after that game.
I just sit on it, and I'm patient.
That end of that game, and you sat on a lot of them until that game was over. That was just like, it was like winning that game, and then what you were going to be able to do afterwards was like a distant second, but it was certainly number 2 on the list. And it was, it kind of was the birth of this podcast, really, because people were it became such a thing, and we were like, okay, but no.
I will
listen,
say the one thing I do like about A&M is like after we won that game, A&M fans are pretty much just like, yeah, y'all played great. You're a really good football team. Whereas we can beat OU 49-0 and they're still finding a way to talk trash.
Yeah, no,
So,
you sometimes you just tip your cap and you go, okay, we played.
okay, great football team.
Yep,
Great
we played.
game.
One team was better, one team wasn't. I mean, that's what OU should be saying right now, no question. And that's what I'm saying to you right now when it comes to that tweet. Yeah, so good pull this week, timely, with you guys playing, 3 top 10 teams in your last 4. So, and like you said, the Aggies, you still have to play 2 ranked teams on the road. If you're fortunate enough to go to Atlanta, you got to play that, and then there's a playoff. And so I hope that we get to find out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, watching the football games, and I think you have been too. I know you have. This is a damn good A&M team.
I think the biggest thing about this A&M team that I've noticed is that week after week, they've addressed some holes, some issues. Like I think I can't remember which game it was where the run defense was pretty questionable.
Yeah.
I think you see Elko addressing those things and kind of learning from the mistakes and correcting them. And I think that's what has made this team very successful.
Yeah, and I'll tell you in closing, the other thing, you know what I love about this team, and as a Longhorn, I think you could really appreciate this, because I think of a Texas team that I remember this on, and I think of an A&M team that I remember this on. The A&M team that I remember this on was the Aggie baseball team from a couple of years ago, and the Texas team I remember was, I mentioned him earlier, the Vince Young-led 2005 championship team. What I'm talking about are teams that you can tell there's something different about them. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not saying A&M wins it. That Aggie team didn't win it. They lost a heartbreaker to Tennessee. Texas won it. But you watch them play, Amanda, and I think you can acknowledge this too because you're watching it. They're having fun. They're locked in. They're intense as hell, but they're also having fun in games. They're loose with the press and the press conferences and stuff. This is a team that's got that. I don't know how far it takes them, TBD, but they certainly have that like it factor that you look for when there's these teams that kind of exceed expectations.
Yeah,
and
it's impressive growth coming off of just the season they had last season and just not letting that get to them and continue to grow as a team.
But I'll give you credit too on this. You said repeatedly that 8-4 was a great first season under a head coach.
I mean, there were a lot of frustrated Aggies, but 8-4 is not a bad season under a first-year head coach.
Yep.
I mean, people make the 8-4 A&M joke all day, but Sark was 5-7 in his first season. I'm not going to make that joke because
Texas 8-0 sounds nice too, though. It's nice to be Texas 8-0 for a week. 2 weeks actually, because we got a bye.
I don't think there's a shot of, even if you lost to your remaining SEC games, you still wouldn't be 8-4 because you'll get that Samford game, I'm sure.
It would feel like it though. But yeah, let's go on. Speaking of records, people have been asking what the picks are. Just for an update, we're tied. We are 9 weeks in, 9 weeks of picks, and we have the exact same record.
And if Billy didn't piss me off last week, I would be winning.
I did.
Because he pissed me off and made me pick LSU.
I talked you out of it.
And I picked A&M.
Thank God. But guess what? You still won the week. So weekly, you're up 5-3-1 right now. So you're up 5-3. We had a tie. I need this one. I can't go down 6-3. I can't get doubled up.
I am 0-7 in fantasy football right now. So this is what I'm banking on for some. You might be able to get
something. Well, I'll say this. If I don't win this week and you double me up at 6-3 and 2 of those 3 weeks I won, I hate to even let you in on this. 2 of the 3 weeks I won, you were in France. You were distracted.
Yeah, I think my fantasy teams also struggled that week.
So I need this week. So let's get to it. It's a week, kind of a weak college football schedule, which I think will make for some pick'em madness. So let's start at the bottom and work our way up. If you're looking at the list, bottom feeders in the SEC: Kentucky at Auburn.
I'm going Auburn.
I'm going to go, you know why I'm going to go Kentucky? Because they took Texas to overtime. Mm-hmm. And like you said, they scored a lot of points.
Good for us.
And I think Hugh Freeze has I know they won this week, but I think he's next. You had Napier, you had Pittman, you had Napier, you had Kelly, who was unexpected. And now you got Hugh Freeze. I think he's next. And then we can shift our focus over to Norman if they lose this weekend and see how hot Venables' seat gets. I'll go Kentucky with the mild upset. Auburn plays really well at home against name teams. I don't think they do it as much. Kentucky's going to sneak up on them. Watch.
Okay. Georgia, Florida.
I mean, that's just a product of not a lot of games because that should be a blowout. I'll go with Georgia. Maybe Florida makes something weird happen. We'll see. Interim coach off of bye weeks, kind of tricky, but yeah. Mississippi State at Arkansas.
I think that Arkansas offense. I don't know. I mean, I want to say Mississippi State looked good last week, but I think my perception's skewed currently. So.
All right, I'm actually going to go with Mississippi State. I'm going to make this pick.
Going to get the SEC monkey off. I am so glad we were not their first SEC win.
I know. Oh, I wanted it. You know, Amanda, you know how much I try, and y'all call me out every time, both you and Peyton. You're like, you don't want us to. I wanted to see.
You got mad because we said we wanted LSU to win last week. I'm like, do not act like you ever want Texas to win games. Do not act like you don't just take joy in the downfall. You were at Ohio State last year. I know you were a little disappointed. You were not disappointed that we did not advance.
In that game, I wanted y'all to have a happy day, but I was also like, if these dudes win this thing,
they're going to win the national championship and be absolutely insufferable.
We can't have that. So when Jack Sawyer's running by, I was like, oh my God, they actually didn't do it. But I wanted to see that 15-game losing streak broken against your horns with the cowbells, with all the...
Unfortunately, it didn't happen, so you can stop your rant right now.
Damn it. I just wanted to be able to go, SEC gauntlet, but we'll have to save that for later. Yeah. Okay, I'm going Mississippi State in honor of Brandon Walker. As Josh Pate said, his soul died on that sideline Saturday. I love me some B-Walk. He talks so much shit about A&M that, but I get what he's doing, and I like the dude. And his content this week was incredible. Funny. You couldn't have pretended any of that. But so I'm going Mississippi State in honor of Brandon. South Carolina at Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's another one where...
There's a lot of gimmies in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ole Miss. If that was at South Carolina, I think even though Ole Miss is better, Sellers, you never know what he can do, but I'm going to go Ole Miss in that one. USC at Nebraska, 2-6-2 football team. Surprisingly, I just don't think any of them are that good, but they're both 6-2.
I'm gonna go USC. I just can't. I can't root for Pat Mahomes wannabe.
Okay. Lock that in, and I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna go Nebraska. Which, two things. I said I wasn't gonna pick these SOBs again this year. They've screwed me too many times. I'm picking them at home. You said you can't pick a Pat Mahomes wannabe. You know who you just picked?
Lincoln Riley?
Dry fit Lincoln in the brisket. So,
I'm fine with picking Lincoln Riley. I love that he is hated.
I thought you'd hate him because
no. I love that he ruined so many OU fans' lives.
Speaking of OU, We'll get back to another one. OU at Tennessee.
Tennessee, all day.
I think that's a game OU can win because Tennessee's defense stinks so bad that
It's a night game, though. It's a night game in Neyland.
I'm going Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm Tennessee. Okay, big one in the Big 12, a really big one. Cincinnati, who had one loss because their quarterback threw an ill-advised interception against Nebraska, or the whole country would be talking about them right now, at Utah, who has bounced back from that Tech defeat. That might be my hardest one of the week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go Cincinnati there.
Yeah. I'm going to go Kelsey alma mater.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the fighting Travis Kelce's.
I'm going to go Utah.
Home team.
Home team.
I think that's a coin flip. I really do. Texas Tech at K-State, a resurgent K-State.
Let's see. I'm looking at these. I don't pay much attention to the Big 12 these days, so I'm having to check in on a couple of these teams.
I kind of enjoy it. It's just so messy. I like it.
Yeah, Big 12 can be a little trippy. K-State's kind of sketchy here. It's just the problem is I don't know who's good in the Big 12 anymore. Tech?
No. Tech. BYU's probably BYU at Tech's going to be the game of the year in that league. But Cincinnati's got one loss. Utah's solid. U of H, the Cougars, one loss. Connor Wigman. So they just beat that same Arizona State team that beat Tech. So that conference, you need to start paying attention, man. It's pretty entertaining. So who are you going with in Manhattan?
What time is that game at?
I don't know. I'm just telling you right now. I'm going K-State
2:30.
because Tech just. I think Tech has a second loss in them somewhere, and I'm just going to pick it this week.
I'm going Tech. I don't normally do this.
I know.
I don't normally pick the Raiders, but I don't think this is their second loss.
I just Manhattan does weird. It's kind of like Lubbock light. There's weird stuff.
It's at 2:30 though. If it was at night, I'd pick K-State. But
all right, this one's we're only going to have this one because it's such a name game. But Penn State at Ohio State. If we really wanted to pick it,
Ohio State,
we'd have to use the spread because it's like a 21.
Wouldn't that be an insane upset though?
Not happening. It's a 21-point spread.
Not a shot.
Ohio State's going to kill them. So, yeah, we both picked them.
How Penn State has fallen.
Okay, final two. We got up there in your neck of the woods, right in your backyard. I might attend this game. It's A&M's bye week, depending on what time it is. I haven't looked that up yet. But Miami at SMU. And believe it or not, I think College Game Day may have been there this weekend had SMU not just lost to Wake Forest this weekend. But Miami at SMU.
I'm going Miami.
I'm going upset alert.
Okay.
Upset weekend.
Bold.
This is one of those really weird weekends where Miami's going to travel to little old Ford Stadium and nobody's going to be there. And SMU
have you
just
seen
lost
how
weight.
dead that stadium is?
It's brutal. And they're going to think they're playing a high school football game.
Okay. So A&M calls Texas fans tea-sippers.
Mm-hmm.
The real tea-sippers in this state are SMU fans. Those are the ones up in their boxes, sitting on their millions, sipping their tea, because most of us Texas fans do not have that claim to money.
No. And then the final one, your Longhorns against the Commodores, Vandy.
I mean, I'm picking Texas. You know that. Am I ultimately super confident about it? No, but we're going with the Horns. We're going with Magic Matthew Caldwell.
I like it. I'm gonna go with your boy Diego Pavia, and I'm gonna
Please pick against us. We've won every time you've picked against us.
Well, yeah, because I actually picked you to beat Ohio State, so that's true.
No, I like it. Pick Pavia.
Okay, I'm picking
Stick with
Pavia.
your pick.
I'm going Pavia. I may show up. Like I said, Aggies are off. I may show up down there with a Vandy jersey or something. Actually, I think
Okay.
I'm going to go to Dallas. I think we're going to do Dallas this weekend. We were going to do Penn State, Ohio State. Just got done traveling myself for a wedding, so I think we're going to do a little
I think
Dallas
Dallas
weekend.
is the easier trip for if you want to catch a game
I
and
agree.
not.
I might watch the game with you and Peyton and Grant. And
Peyton is currently on injury reserve. She'll be in Atlanta, so
what's she doing? Is she going to get her tailbone checked?
she's going to the Auburn game.
Auburn.
I guess she's going to be in. She said she was going to be in Atlanta for the weekend, but she's also going to the Auburn game. Where's the Auburn game?
Atlanta's like less than a 3-hour drive from Auburn.
Yep. Okay.
Oh
And
yeah,
that would
she's
make
got the
sense.
girlfriends at Auburn. Okay, well
Yep.
then now I'm sorry I picked against Auburn, but so be it. She picks against us all the time, so we'll call it even.
Yeah. She'll wear her burnt orange to the Auburn game. It'll be fine.
All right, Amanda, we did it. That was fun. 2 weeks in a row with 2 wins. We can't make it 3 because the Aggies have a bye, but you always win the bye. So good luck to your Longhorns this weekend against Vandy, and significant SEC matchup for the Horns, and a significant
Yes.
SEC win for the Aggies, and a significant SEC loss for LSU and Brian Kelly. I'm
Yes.
Billy,
Yeah. And I'm Amanda.
and we are moving
Moving goalposts.
goalposts.